when you try to read the data from file to a program, right? So imagine you have this is your phone. In this phone, you have a lot of photos. So that you are selecting in your WhatsApp server. So there is a connection, or the data is converted into binary and it is sent to the program. Program will understand what type of data it is and display to the user. Okay, so here it can be achieved by using this byte stream or character stream. If you type any characters like messages and send, it will be character stream. Okay, who is responsible is character stream. If you send some images, audio or video, that will be taken care by byte stream. Byte stream. So what is character stream? What is byte stream? There are a lot of classes actually. These are abstract classes. Input stream is abstract class. Output stream is abstract class. A reader is abstract class. Writer is abstract class. There are a lot of classes when it comes to how to send images, photos, videos, how to send text type of data. So what we are interested is text type of data, not audio, video, and all. Okay. So for today's discussion, or in Java SC programming, we'll only understand how this character data is transferred, okay, from file to the program. So here, like byte stream, right? This byte stream is used for transferring like photo, video, audio, and all this. Okay, you have input stream classes and output stream classes. Input stream means from input source, if you are taking the data, you should use these things. Okay, if you are sending the data to output stream, then you have to use these classes. Okay, this is something called as input stream classes. Please see the class names: buffered input stream, file input stream, like filter input. Everything is input in nature. Means it is used to read a file and send it to the program. These are like from the program. If you want to put it to a file, then we'll use these file output stream, file pipeline output stream. All these are to send the data. These are to read the data. These classes are to send the data. Okay, so in specific, if you want, we will go and understand after some time. There is something called as character stream, right? So these are the classes that we will be writing now. So these are like readers, means any file you have or any data you have, using this you will read the data, and using this you will write something into the server. You'll write something into the server. This is to read and this is to write something to the server. So these are very important classes that we'll be dealing today. Okay. So without wasting time, I'll create one file and maybe I'll try to read that file. Okay. How to read that file, I will get to know. Okay. So I'll go to programs, and here I will create a new project, Java project, maybe file reading. Files. Okay, files. So I just close this and open files. Here I'll create a new class called as main. I just have a main method. In main method, okay. Now here I want a file. Okay, some file I want. So I'll go to this particular project. And hello. I just want one example for this use case. Can you give me some examples, like any name? Okay, maybe Sindhu has joined recently. I'll take her name. Yeah, anybody wants to suggest a name?
Jayant.
Hey, always Jayant only, man. He's so he's so innocent person. Why are you torturing him? Hmm? I'll take Sindhu's name.
Gautam.
Gautam. Okay, for next example, I'll take Gautam's name. So there is some person Sindhu, Sindhu.txt file. I am creating text file. You know text file, right? TXT file. So I have this TXT file, and here some informations are stored. Say in the first line, I have her full name, maybe Sindhu. What's your full name, Sindhu? Any full name is there? And this is her phone number, and this is her email ID. Okay, so this data is present in one file. Can you see this file here? You can see this file, right? This file is present remotely in the project. Somewhere this file is present. Now, what is your duty is to read what is present in this file. Okay, so what's your duty now? It's your duty to read what is the data present in this file. Okay, how do you read this data is what you need to learn now. Okay, so to read the data, I need something called as stream classes. Stream. So what type of data it is? It is character data. So only some characters are written in the file. I want to read that characters. So I want to use character stream classes. So I'll go back and see which character class is better. So you can see here a lot of character classes are there. So these are character classes. I want reader classes. So there is something called as buffered reader, char array reader, string reader, file reader. Okay, input stream reader, filter. Okay, from all this, you can see file reader is something very suitable because it is used to read a file, right? So what I'll do, I'll go and create an object of file reader. So I'll go here, create a main method, right? In this main method, what do? I create an object of file reader, file reader, file reader, file reader, reader is equal to new file reader of new file reader. Now we have to mention the name of the file. What is the name of the file? That is Sindhu.txt file. Sindhu.txt file. Now what I did, I am trying to read a file. So there is one checked exception saying that if you're trying to read a file, if the file is not present, if this file is not present, you may get an exception. It's a checked exception. So what I will do, I will add try and catch block. Try and catch block. See, file not found exception. Okay, so that's it. So I just have a reader. Now I want to read the data, right? So what I will do, reader dot. So there are a lot of methods to read the data. One of which is read. Can you see read? But this read method will only give one integer value. Means what it does, it only can read one character at a time. One character at a time. Okay, fine. But how do I read the entire line? I want to read what is her name. I want to read, see here, these details, right? Sindhu is there, this number is there, and email. I want to read all this data. But here it is not possible. It is not possible because there are no methods to read that entire line. Only read method is there. It is only integer. It can only take integer value. So it is very disappointing. So, but still we'll use this read method. So once you read this, now what you will get as an output, I just want to show you. I'll just use system.out.println and show what is this read method or reader.read method will return. Okay, whether it will read the data or not, let us understand. Okay, so this is an IO exception. You can add throw, but I don't want to add throw. What I will do, I will use try with multi-catch. Okay, done. So now I'm trying to read from this file, okay, from Sindhu. So if I run this, let us see what gets printed. This 115 is getting printed. What is 115? It is an ASCII value of the name yes. Okay, ASCII value of this name yes. If you don't believe, you can just change it to capital A. What is the ASCII value of capital A? 65.
97.
65. Small a is, yeah. Small a, if you are saying, yeah, it is correct. 97. Okay. And what is the ASCII value of yes? It is
150.
115. But you don't want it to be, I don't want number, right? Who wants number? I want what is the data, correct? I want what is the data. Okay. Now, how do I get the data? Or here you can convert this whatever value that you read into a character, right? You can just write char. Okay. So here I'll just go and write char and run this. Now you can see, okay, I got yes. Yes is the first character. Okay, I got Sindhu. Yes. Okay, yes, I am getting. I converted it into character, so I am getting yes. But is this enough or is it correct? Because a lot of data is there, right? All this data is there, but I'm getting only one character from the file. But that is not enough. That is not recommended, right? So how to get all the data is you need to use a while loop. Okay. Why while loop? Because one character at a time you need to read. Okay, first character is some Sindhu. It should go to second character. It should go to third character. It go to fourth character. All that you need to read, right? Everything is there in the, you need to read. So how do you do it? Okay, let us do some logic. Okay, so while use while and you would use reader dot reader dot see what are the methods present. So here there are a lot of methods which is used for this activity. Read method and skip method, ready method, right? Okay, so whenever you are reading, right, this value is not equal to, if it is not equal to, say, okay, if there are no characters, next value, whenever you're reading, if it is not present or not known, how do you define it? Like, for example, you can say if it is not equal to null, reader dot read, if this, whenever you are reading, if it is not equal to null, right, you want to repeatedly read the characters, right? So how can you approach this? How do you go from value? You are in yes, right? Now you finished yes. Now you need to go to I. How will you go to I? Any idea? Now you read the value yes. Now you need to go to I. How do you go? Hello. Okay, so I'll see this code. Now you are in this read method, right? So when you read, just use read method, you are able to get the first character. But how do you go to the second character, third character, fourth character? How do you go progress in this is my question. You can just give a try. How will you try it, or how will you go and understand this? Just give a random answer. I don't expect a correct answer. Just try it. How do you read other characters present in that particular file? Okay, so now if you want to say if there are no characters, right, or if there are no values, it is equal to -1. That is the meaning. If it finds nothing, it is just equal to -1. Okay, so what you will do is, so initially, so this, whenever you read, this will be in terms of number, right? It is like a 115 or whatever. You get a number here, reader dot read, will get it as a number. So this number, right? It's an integer value that you already know. So using that, you have to derive a logic. So here what I'm doing is that only. So I am just trying to read it. And if it is not equal to null or not equal to -1 means there are some characters. That is the meaning. Okay. So I'll complete this while block. So I am starting this while block. Here I will end it. Done. Now, okay, so I told, right, any file that you open, somebody should be there to close it, correct? So I will go and write a finally block, and here I will close that file. So I will use reader dot close, reader dot close. Any file you open, somebody should close it. Okay. So it is giving some error, unhandled exception, IO exception. Why it is giving this here? Try, catch, and finally. Just try and catch. Done. So now when you run this code, you can see some changes. It is printing the values, whatever that you had in your in that particular file. In this file, whatever you had, it is printing, but it is not printing in a right way. Right? It is INDU. It is printing. 1 is not printed. 2468 it is printing, and here it is printing some details, but it is not what we expected. Maybe we need to fine tune this. So here I'll come back and see reader dot read, but it's not equal to -1. So this whatever I read, right, I will store it in some variable. Okay, so I will store it in some variable temp. Okay, so what is this temp value? It should be an integer value. Okay, so I'll declare some variable called as integer temp. Okay, so whenever I read this, I will store it in an integer value. Store it in some integer value. And here, whatever value which was stored, I will try to print that object here. Instead of printing some other object, I'll print that object here. That is char of TE. Okay. So, but still you are getting some error, some mismatch. Mismatch cannot convert int into Boolean. Int into Boolean. Okay, this is returning me a Boolean value. Okay. I should not get that. So this entire thing, whatever I'm reading, it's a number. I will store it in this temp. I'm checking this temp value is not equal to -1. If it is not equal, I will print this temp. I'll go run it. Now you will get all the details of Sindhu will be printed. See, Sindhu 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and Sindhu@gmail.com is printed. So instead of printing println, I will print just print. Okay, if you just print, you will get it in one line. Okay, beautifully it prints everything in one line. Sindhu 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and gmail.com. Okay, did you understand this, or like it was confusing? How many of you it is confusing? Let me break down and type it again and show you. How many of you it feels it is confusing? Confusing. Okay, no problem. What I'll do, I'll rewrite this program. Just pay attention. So Control A, I'll delete this. Control S, and I'll have class main. Public class main, and here we have main method. there is some package. Okay, fine. So now I have a main method. Now you are trying to read this file sindhu.txt. Okay, so that is your intention. So I will not write all the try catch blocks and confuse you. So pay attention and listen now. So I want, like right, when I'm reading, the value that I will be getting is some number, like hexadecimal, sorry, ASCII number, which I'll be getting, right? Say ASCII number I'll get from this file. Whenever I read, I get a ASCII value. For yes, it was 115, like that I'll get. So now when I'm reading, whatever I read, right? So I will put it in some while loop, or I'll create an object of reader first. So file reader. So file reader is equal to new file reader of and what is the file name? Sindhu.txt. file. I'm reading something from this file. Okay. So every time I read one character from the file, right, I'll just use throws so that your code will look a little better. Okay. So I will read from the sindhu.txt, and every time I read, the value will be ASCII character. So what I will do is I will do while loop while I'm using this ASCII. I'm storing whatever I'm reading. I'm storing in ASCII value. ASCII value. I'm storing whatever I read. Okay. So how to read? I will use reader dot read method. So whatever I read, right, whatever I'm reading here, I will store it in ASCII value. Okay. So this is what I'm doing. Okay. So this I will put it in a bracket. This one and this one I'll put it in a bracket. So what I'm doing is I'm reading something and storing it in ASCII, and then checking whether this ASCII is not equal to -1. Okay, not equal to -1. This much I will do. Okay, there is some error. We'll see what is the error. Change in ASCII. Okay. Here. This one. Just need to put it in a bracket. There's some bracket missing at the end, I think. I don't know where it is missing. Let us not confuse. So this is the value which I read and have it. Okay, so this entire thing should be in one bracket. And this entire thing is in one bracket. Okay, so now for this while I'll have a bracket and write it here. Not equal to -1 and close it. Okay, so this is the correct statement. Means I'm reading something and I'm checking whether it is, so that I'm storing it in ASCII and I'm checking whether this ASCII is equal to -1. What is -1 means? When file comes to the end, when file has nothing to read, it means it is -1. Imagine one file is empty, means the first character only will be -1. That is the meaning. I will check until the -1 comes. Okay. So here what I will do is, okay, so this is, I will throw this because I don't want to handle it here. I will just throw it, throw IO exception. Okay, so what I will do here is, okay, if it is not equal to -1, I will just do system.out of print of ASCII only. I will just print ASCII only, but ASCII is in hexadecimal, this one, no, ASCII value. So if you print it, only ASCII values will be printed, but I don't want ASCII values. I want real data. So what I will do, I will typecast it to characters. Means I will say it is not an integer value, it's a character value. So character. I'll do typecasting. I will say it is character. The moment I do it and run it, now you can see all the details of Sindhu been printed. It is not ln. If you do print method, everything will be as it is from the file. How it was in the file, the same thing is printed here. If you don't believe, you can go and write some data here. Whatever data that you type, that will also be automatically read into the other file. Okay. Say I type this data in Sindhu.txt. Now I will come and execute this. Automatically that data will also come here. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to read from a file. Read from a file. Okay. Now, if this is very confusing for you, I don't know why I should read it, convert it into ASCII, and then check here, then print ASCII. If you don't want to do all this, there is something called as buffer reader. You know buffer reader, right? Buffer reader BR is equal to new input stream reader. You are writing that. So that class you can use here. Okay. So you can use buffer reader. Buffer reader is equal to new buffer reader of new file reader. New file reader. Instead of input stream reader, you write new file reader. Okay. So this is very simple, right? This is easy, right? Now what you will do is instead of writing all this, you do reader dot. There are methods like lines, right? Read line method is there. So you'll use read line method. If this read line method is not equal to null, you type it as not equal to null. Until this you search. Okay. If it is not null, until it is not null, you just do reader dot next line of reader dot read line of. That's it. Read line. That's it. So now also you'll get the same output beautifully. Oh, okay, something is missing. It is not printing everything. It is just printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and whatever the data was. It is not printing the entire data. Maybe what is the reason? We need to check. It is not equal to -1, and then not equal to null only. Okay, so okay, maybe there is another method here. Reader dot lines. Lines. Maybe lines. Okay, it's not the right method. I will use for loop for int I is equal to 1. Maybe I is equal to 0 or 1. I less than reader dot lines dot count and I plus plus, and you write read line. I don't want to write this. Now let us see what does it print. That's just printing null. Okay, you can use buffer reader and actually print it. Now, what is the main use of buffer reader is you have one straight method called as read line. When you run it, it will actually give you one line at a time. See, it is giving Sindhu at a time. Okay, so next time you want another line, you can just go and write system.out.println reader dot next line of reader dot next line of or read line of. So this will actually give you a new line every time. So here you are getting Sindhu, and here you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And next time, if you have another line, you can again go and write system.out.println of reader dot next line of or read line of read line of. So automatically it prints the 3 lines or 4 lines, whatever you are having. All those lines will be printed automatically. See, Sindhu 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then Girish, all this value starts printing automatically if you use println method directly. So buffer reader gives you that flexibility. You can use a while loop and check and then iterate that many number of times to get all the values printed. Okay. So this is also possible. If you don't like to go just by file reader, it's not like only file reader I have to use or input stream or this buffer reader I have to use. There are a lot of file reader methods that you came to know, right? Any of these methods you can use. You can use input stream reader. You can use any of this. Okay, any of these classes to read. You can't use line number reader. It is used to only count the number of lines. You can use input stream reader. Okay, that is all. That will also work fine. Any classes you can make use of to read the values. So here, okay, or just use while reader dot read line is not equal to. Okay, so whatever reader dot read line will give, right? You store this value in some variable. Maybe you can take a string variable. So string data. So if this data, right, you just declare it somewhere here instead of int, you just declare a string data. Okay, so if this data becomes null, okay, so just check that whenever you have read line, you will be storing in data. So this entire data, if it is not equal to not equal to null. If you mention this, if it is not equal to null, and you just print this here while you're printing, you don't print read line, you print whatever the data that you are getting. So, okay, so imagine you have this data, you just print this data. Now what happens is it will print all the data which is present in the file. Means what you're doing, you're storing some external variable called data, and every time you are reading that data and checking if it is not null. If it is not null, whatever is there in that file, that line will be read and printed here. You can see it was printing everything in this, right? So this is one magical method that you can use. Buffer reader, reader is equal to new buffer reader of new. Instead of input stream reader, you are writing system.in here. Remember, it was standard input device, but now you are writing sindhu.txt. So everything from this text file, it is reading and storing it here, and you are using read line method to get the data and check whether the data is not equal to null. If it is not null, then print it. That's it I'm doing. Okay, so in case you want some more details, then you can go and copy some data randomly like this. You copy this data, copy and put it in the text file. What is the text file name? Sindhu.txt. So in this text file, you just go and paste that data. So now save it and go back to your program. And when you run it, all that data should be visible. Can you see all this data is visible here? Means what? Your program is successfully working. It is reading all the data from the file and it is able to print it here. You're able to get this? Yes or no? Okay. So instead of using, okay, now I use buffer reader and just file reader, right? I used it, but now I don't want to use file reader. Okay. Now you can choose to use input stream reader also. There is something called input stream reader. Just use input stream reader. It's not from IO package. Input stream reader from IO package. You can also use input stream reader from IO package. Okay, but it is saying input stream reader is undefined. Constructor input stream reader. Okay, so if you just use input stream reader, you can't directly read a file. So to read a file, you need something called as some alternative, like what is the input stream? Input stream, you need some data to be provided. Okay, input stream reader requires some input stream type of input object. So here you can go and write new file reader. new file reader. So only file reader can read the file. So here you can go and give sindhu.txt. Okay, so now it does the same activity as you were doing before. Okay, so is there some error? The constructor input stream reader is undefined. Okay, let me just delete this and directly write input stream reader. Input stream reader from IO package reader is equal to new input stream reader of new file reader. So it can be any form. Okay, so as like only rule that you have to follow is you should actually use any of this stream objects. Any of this stream objects you need to, any of the stream classes you need to use. Maybe the way I'm using is slightly different, but what do they mean? See here, input stream reader translate bytes into characters. So basically, it's a character stream reader. It converts that values into characters. So the way I'm using might be slightly different. The constructor for input stream reader is undefined. Maybe you can pass it as a file. txt file I will import here. File is a class. Import this class. File is undefined. Right. See here, okay, they are using input stream reader. So system.in is something that we used to pass, right, to read data from the user. So from the console, if you want to read, we are using system.in. So from a file, if you want to do, there is slightly different logic. See, they are using file reader for file, but it's not like file reader only you have to use. You can also use input stream reader. Just a second, maybe you need to slightly change the code to use input stream reader to read that data. That's it. Okay, so these are like reader classes to read the data from the file. Okay, now somebody asks you to write the data to the file. Okay, imagine this file, there is some another file, new file I'll create. I'll just go here, I'll create a new file. So that's data.txt. I'll just say data.txt file. I have some file called as data.txt file, which I'm creating for this. In this project, I'm creating. Okay. What is this data.txt? Name must not be qualified. Name must not be qualified. Okay, I'm creating a class. Sorry, that's why it is giving error. I have to create a file, new file. Here I'll give it as data.txt. Okay. So now this data.txt is empty file, right? There is nothing in this. I want to save something into this file. I want to use something called as file writer. File writer. Reader we used. Now we need to use file writer. File writer. File writer. Write is equal to new file writer. file. So here I have to pass the file. Okay, so data.txt is the file which I'm passing to actually write something into the file. So here you have to give permissions. Okay, what is the permission? Like what is the permission? Is a read permission or write permission? I have to pass it here. Okay, so file writer has two strings. Maybe it is not two strings. It is file name and character set. Okay, character set. It is writable means I have to make it W. Maybe W is a single character. I have to give single character. Okay, I just use this file writer. So I am just writing write dot. There is a method. I'm writing something onto this onto the file. Okay, write dot. There is a method called write. Okay, or you can use append also. It's your wish. There is a method called as write, and here you can see write with string also and write with integer also. So I just use write with string. I'll write this is file writer writing file writer writing. Okay, so this is the text I am writing. So always remember, after writing you have to close the resource. Okay, after writing something into the scope, something into the file, you have to close it. If you don't close it, it will not write something into the file. That is the basic rule. I'll just close it. Now I just created a file writer object, right? This is something that I'm writing into the file. After writing, I have to use write dot close. Close method is to finish, saying that you have finished it. Now I have written here. I will not get any data, but if you check this data.txt, in this that letters will be written. This file is writing. So whatever I wrote here as a data will be written into the file. Okay, you can write Girish is writing. Whatever you can do that, so that in that file this data will be written automatically. Now I'll save it and write it. So now if you go and see that data, Girish is writing is written into the file. Did you understand what is how to read from a file and how to write it into a file? Like these topics are clear, right? Like if somebody asks you to read from the file or write into the file, you should be able to do it. Yes or no? Does this make sense, or am I confusing you guys? Yeah, previous data will not be stored. Yeah, very good question. When I'm writing newly, right? So there are some file writing and reading permissions. Okay, so like if you don't have any permissions enabled, by default, while you're writing, all the previous data will be erased and new thing will be written. So if you want to avoid it, if you don't want to do this, right, you can go and write a method called as append. Append is add at the end. Okay, append is add at the end. So if already Girish is writing is already there, again if you want to have one more line of Girish is writing or continuation of it, if you want again one more string, you should not use write method. You should use append method. So it will go and add at the end. I'll run this and go and see. Sorry, it is not running. I'll just close this. It is still running the previous one. I don't know what is the reason for it. So that's why you should be very careful while doing file operation. So after writing, I should actually close. Maybe if the file is not closed, you cannot run the next code. I don't know what is the reason for it. Just refresh this. Let's see what is there. Maybe I'll write something else so that it gets appended. He is writing. Okay, it is overriding the behavior. Okay, whatever was there previously, it is removed and it is writing the new data. Maybe I have to go and recheck it why it is doing it. Should not do that. It go back. Okay, only 5 is there. So it is rewriting. Like you have some permissions that you can give. Okay, read only or read write or to continue from the same line or whatever. You have some special methods to add in. Maybe I'll check that and add so that this issue will not happen. So generally, when you are writing, the previous data will be erased and the new data will be always there. So you'll just see what is it. Right dot. You can also enable some permissions. That's one thing that I need to also see. So this file writer object, right? When I'm creating file writer, new file writer of, there are some permissions that you can add. Character set. Right. Okay. So you can use write method. I'm not sure which exact permission which I've enabled before. I might have to check it and tell you. It is possible. Like already you have a file. You have written something into the file, and if you want to append from there, you can also do that. But I really don't remember what is the exact method which I used. So as of now, what I can do is you can use this append with start and end sequence. So you can give like whatever you want to append. So for example, you want to append hi, and you can give start index and end index. Means from which index that you need to start and from which index you need to end. So you can also provide this so that at that specific index it gets appended. Okay, so that you will not face this issue when you run it. It's giving some string index out of bounds because string as having only very less data. Maybe in this you might have to insert append. Maybe what is the index? Maybe you can treat it as 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 you can give. This can be any data, maybe like 10. So within this, you have to append this. Okay, still it is giving string index out of bounds because it is beginning from 5 and ending at 10, but the length of the string that we have declared is not that matching. Okay, so maybe that is the reason it is failing. I really don't remember what is the exact. Okay, it is taking high Girish as the length. Yeah, it is actually basically taking this as the length and uh, is trying to insert. Till 8. Maybe that also might not work. Maybe I'll check this and tell you. There is a way that we actually don't mm, allow them to overwrite. Okay, so that is also possible. Here, actually, while giving this write permissions, right, we'll actually give a character. Like for example, if you make it only read only, we just give it as R. If you want to make it as read write, we use RW. Right? There are some file permissions that we give. So if you allow all both read write and allow, we use RW plus. So there are some file permissions that we give in order to allow this file appending things. Okay, so I actually forgot what is that file permission thing. Maybe I will check it and tell you, because like the basic concepts you understood, right? How to read from a file and how to write it into a file, right? Because when you go to your ebox problems, you will generally get these kind of problems where some task is given to you. Like the task will be very simple. Like maybe there is some data like this. Sindhu, and his age is 23, and her hobbies is singing. Okay, some singing like this data will be there. What you should do is you should read this line. You should read this line, split this. Okay, and you have to take name as Sindhu, age as 23, and hobby as singing. So that will be your task. So you have to take this and create an object. So how do you do this? You have to read this as a string, split it, and then take that into consideration. So those things you might have to handle here. Okay. So how do you do it is you need to read from a file, or maybe there is like there is an activity of writing into the file. So if it is just write into the file, you can just go and do this directly. It will write into the file. But yeah, there is one thing that I need to check and tell you. Like once some data is already there in the file, if you want to write something else, okay, the previous data should not get erased. So that is what is expected. So we will see how to achieve it. Maybe in the next following class, I'll tell you how to do that. But if you know these two topics, right, it is well and good. So you can easily solve all the problems present in eBox. Okay, just go and see problems in eBox. Streams and writers is the module. You go inside this. The problems will be very simple, just to read from a file or to write into the file. So where this is useful in the real time, or when you go to join your projects, right? There will be property files. You might have to read a server name, server port number, DB passwords from a file and use it in your program. There will be some scenarios like that. In that cases, this file reading and writing operations are very important. So you have to ensure that uh, you will be able to do that. See here, first problem says that fixed length format. So what is fixed length format? Okay, so here, so this is the file that they have, input.csv file they already gave. And here they are saying name will be from index 0 to 19, you will have name. And from 19 to 39, you will have this event name or event details. Okay, after that, type of the event will be there, that is state show. Then organizer, who is the organizer? Jane. So they have given indexes here. So what do you mean by indexes? While reading, read with index. From this size to this size, whatever data you have, you should read it as the first name and the second name and the third name. So what you will do now, if this is the case, what you will do, you have to split it with if this is the CSV file, then you know in a string, you can read it as a string, right? Just imagine you can just use file reader or buffer reader. Go with buffer reader. It will be very simple to do this activity. Buffer reader br is equal to new buffer reader of new input stream data. New input stream data. Or you can use file reader, whichever is comfortable for you. You read that file. Maybe it is here, in my case, it is Sindhu.txt. It will be like .csv also. Any file format you can read. Here you can use input.csv or whatever. Then after you read it, right? So you know how to read it. You just take a string variable, string data, and you store that in that data that you get in this. So you write while loop, while data is equal to what you do is you use br dot readline of, okay, that you store in this data, okay, that you stored in this data. This, if this is not equal to null, you need to proceed is the task. Okay, so here you will actually do the data that you get, right? So you need to do so data will have all the values. So that specific data that you are having, you should split it, data dot split. So when you do data dot split, it will ask you what, according to what regex you need to split. Maybe if you give spaces, it will split according to spaces. Or if you don't want spaces, you can use the index. So string dot get. So there is a method called as get bytes or get chars, and you can mention the index. Okay, so what is this beginning index and ending index? You can pass. So get bytes. Okay, so here you can use there are methods like to split it according to the index value. Also you can go and split it along according to index value, and take like they have given you this data, right? From where to where you need to split. From 0 to 19 you need to split to get the name. From 19 to 39 you will need to split to get the details. So this data will be nothing but one full line, one line. In that line, whatever data you need, you can split it and take it and store it in an array and use it for your program. So maybe if you see how I have solved it, or somebody has solved it, is in this main method. In this main method, see, they are using some array list and they are using input stream reader, and they're using buffer reader. Means using buffer reader only, they are also reading the data. Say read line they have got, and according to that they are splitting and storing that in this data. Enter the number of person who sent. Okay, so here the data will be like this. This will be the input.csv, and how you should print it is name is this, and whichever shows are there in his name, those shows you need to print. If you click Y, you will go to the next Jake. So like for each person's name, whatever events are there, you need to print it. So you can do it like what they are reading is input.csv file using file reader, and using buffer reader, they are reading a line. Every time they are reading a line, say a read line. I don't know where is that read line method. Yeah, here br.read line. They are getting that entire name, and using that name, they are actually performing some other logics here to get. See, they are trimming now csv dot. So this person has used csv dot substring to 0 to 19, whatever is there. He is trimming and getting that value as the first value. That is name. Then state event. That this person is doing. So it is up to you. Like maybe if you see how I have solved, you will get some idea. Maybe I have solved it in a different way. These problems don't make much of difference if you understand them once. I have solved it in a easier way or very small way. Maybe you can see that and get the reference. So in main method, what I'm doing is I'm using buffer reader. Okay, input.csv I'm reading. And here I'm also using buffer reader with input stream reader and system.in. Means enter the value for that name of the person. I'm using that. So whenever I read like event dot person, so here you have this. See here I'm doing string dot substring. Okay, I'm using substring method to split it. Substring dot trim. So this is how I am trimming all the values to get, like I'll read that line. That line will have all the CSV values in the first line, first row of all the CSV. Now that I'm actually splitting it by using string dot substring dot trim. So I'm using this to get that exact value. Maybe Girish is there, I'm getting exactly that value. Okay. So you can use this as a reference. Only this problem is little tricky, but the other problems are very simple. So here also they are saying name length is 15, position is first position, and deposit is length is 7. From 16th position, 7 characters are deposit. Cost per day from 22nd position. Same logic you need to use. They are using input.txt file. You need to read this and you can split it. Okay, so this is one thing. And like remaining things are file reading only, file reading and writing operations only. All of them have the similar functionality. Like here, these things you need to read and you have to print it, or you have to send it to write it to a file writer. Okay, so directly you will read and write it to this file. Yeah, so this is what you do in terms of file writer. Okay, so maybe I'll send you the first questions code. You can refer it and solve the other problems. Okay, and I will check that how do we actually append the data without deleting that data. I have already worked on it, but I don't know. I forgot that exact way of doing. Send you this code. Can just go and refer it for your reference. Send them this. Just go and refer this. Maybe sometime tomorrow we can connect and we'll discuss more about like the file writing part of it, and then we'll move for the other topics as well. Okay, so just go and complete this part around. Okay, just try to read a file and write it into a file and get a hang of it, and come back tomorrow. We'll discuss more about this. Okay, I stop the recording and I'm